Good evening, folks. It's Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Happy Saturday and no slate. In order to come on anyway, I want to talk about the Hector Santiago update. Also, massive accidents happening in Yonkers all of a sudden. And will Vinny Spano be the next mayor?
My dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Happy Saturday. The hot one today.
Freddie wins.
It's hot today.
Fatality.
So, why are we having so many accidents in the city of Yonkers? Have you guys noticed this? And deadly accidents. Also, the latest on Hector Santiago and his case against the city of Yonkers. Oh, no. City of Yonkers against him. And also, I want to talk about the possibility that Vinny Spano may be the next mayor or mayor one day. So this is what the chatter is on the Yonkers Tribune. Anyway, folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. There's been a lot of accidents in Yonkers. And if I don't really follow Yonkers' voice, but when I did, and I would notice that he would be reporting on a lot of accidents, or people would share, his stuff on many, many accidents here in the city of Yonkers. Is it just me, or are there a lot more accidents happening here in the city of Yonkers? More deadly accidents. Cars are flipping over, multi-car accidents, cars going through homes. That's right. Pedestrians being killed by motorists. One of them was someone who was well known, actually, here in the city of Yonkers. Father or grandfather may have been mayor of city of Yonkers, the O'Rourke. Christine O'Rourke. Yonkers police are investigating a fatal car accident that left one dead before crashing into a home. Authorities say it happened just before 7 p.m. on Sunday at 693 North Broadway in Yonkers. This happened about maybe a week or so ago, but I started thinking about all the accidents that we have, and then I learned who this person was, and I just wanted to talk about it. According to police, the driver of a white Honda was traveling northbound on North Broadway before losing control of the vehicle, crossing the double yellow line and smashing into a home. Everything in the windows came crashing down on my sister, said the homeowner, who asked eyewitness not to reveal her identity. She came up from underneath the windows and everything. I'm still shook up, she said. The sister suffered cuts and bruises and remains in Westchester County Hospital. Before hitting the home, the vehicle struck a 70-year-old female pedestrian on the sidewalk. The blunt impact threw the victim, identified as Chris Kenny O'Rourke, across a front yard and into a nearby cross street. She was pronounced dead. Wow, I saw her shoes in front of my house, so the impact was really big, recalls Alex Baez, who called 911. When I ran over to the neighbor to see if she was okay, I saw the dead body over there. The frightening incident left many who knew O'Rourke in shock. I know her pretty well, said Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano. She's very much involved in the community, involved in the Yonkers Historical Society. She is going to be missed, and like I said, my condolences go out to that family. For her brother, Dave Kenny, this is something that can't even be processed right now. She was like having a second mom, he said. She watched out for everyone. She cared about everyone, and she cared about Yonkers. She loved it. Police launched both a criminal and accident investigation. So, that's crazy. Imagine you're taking a walk with your dog or with your kids, God forbid, and a car comes barreling down the street, headed towards you, and then into a house. This isn't the first time this happened. I don't know if you guys remember on Lake Avenue when the car lost control and went into, I believe it was a barbershop, maybe, but it pinned a mom and a child. Well, luckily, actually, for them, they actually ended up on top of the hood just before the car went in through the window and Fortunately for them also, it was all glass. Had it been like a brick wall, it could have been bad. And the baby and the mom survived. That was last year, I believe, sometime. Actually, a guy that worked for me, his car was actually hit by that vehicle before it went into the business there. So what's with all the accidents here in the city of Yonkers? Are you noticing them too? Is it because we have more people here? Is that what it is? They're expecting people to actually take the train, right? All these people that are moving here to the developments are supposed to be using the trains, public transportation, right? That's where they're putting all the scooters out. But it doesn't seem like that. Everyone's coming with cars, at least one, if not more. And there's a lot more traffic on the roads. And there's a lot going on. You have a lot of construction. You got a lot of road work, all kinds of things going on all over Yonkers. It's very dangerous now. You have these scooters. These guys are crazy, right? You guys are riding these scooters with no helmets. You guys are crazy. It doesn't take much for you to kill yourself if you fall off that thing and hit your head. All right. So you guys should really wear, at least if you're going to do all this stuff, wear a helmet, man. You know, I don't want to see you guys end up dead. But I've seen scooter guys up and down. It's now like reminding me of Mexico. When I would go there, you see everyone on the scooters. You see, I don't know how many people. So I've seen families on one scooter. This is true story. I saw a father, a mother, a younger toddler, and a baby that the mom was carrying. She was holding this all on one scooter. And so is Yonkers becoming like, you know, other parts of the world, but those are making it more dangerous as they are, you know, going in and out of traffic. They run through red lights. They're not wearing helmets, you know, and sucks for us, you know, God forbid we hit one of them. They don't have a helmet on. They die. It's an accident. We're not at fault. We're not going to jail, but we were still involved in something where a guy got killed because he wasn't wearing a helmet and he probably was hopping on and off the sidewalk, right? So be careful out there. A lot of accidents are happening in Yonkers for whatever reason. Go on the Yonkers Voice. You could count them on there. It's way too many accidents. I don't know what the deal is. Moving on. Why was my friend of the, why was a friend, not my friend, why was a friend of the police arrested? Why was a friend of the police arrested? And they're referring to Hector Santiago. Hector the Connector Santiago, who is running for Yonkers City Council, District 3. That includes the South Broadway corridor there. District 3. He is running up against Tasha Diaz. He's on the Working Family Party. Is that I say that right? Right. But he's also got other issues, right? He was involved in some incident at the Yonkers City Council chambers inside where he was escorted out. But when they got outside, all hell broke loose. Hector did a shove off. Detective did a jab. Everybody got involved. It was crazy. And Hector ended up getting arrested. He would be charged with assault on a police officer and other charges, including harassment. It was ultimately dropped to harassment and disorderly conduct, I think. And now I think they dropped the harassment charge. So that's the latest update, I believe, right? Or is it all gone now? But I know Hector intends on filing a civil suit after this. He has lost his job. This is according to Hector Santiago. He lost his job due to the 22 court dates he's had to appear at now since this incident. So he's lost his job. So they could have offered him that Secretary of the Human Rights Commission position, right? It's a paying position. See, they never do that to those that are truly in need. It's always the rich people that get it. Let me start by saying that Hector Santiago is a friend of mine. This is the Yonkers Times, Dan Murphy, and a great role model for the people of Yonkers. He has taken hundreds of mile walks to highlight the issue of mental illness, and most know Hector from his very successful Stop and Shake initiative, where he encourages Yonkers residents to meet, greet, and interact with Yonkers police. Well, he sure did interact with them that day. So it was disturbing for me to hear that Hector was arrested during the city council meeting held on November 22nd. This was last year. Santiago and several other members of the audience were escorted out of the chambers, but Santiago did not commit violence or any violence, nor was he involved in any fights between supporters and opponents of extending term limits for city elected officials. We spoke to Hector Santiago, but first, here is what he posted on Facebook this morning. Thank you for everyone. This was passed. I just want to kind of reiterate what happened. So again, he was at the meeting. Tasha Diaz I'm imagining she was inspired by Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, right? Inspired and motivated by Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, the city council president's speech. Well, she talked about me because I'm so important that I need to be spoken of in a term limit meeting. No, I'm not that important. I don't think I'm that important, but I was still brought up, and that got Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, the city council president, going. That triggered Tasha Diaz, the majority leader. She got going, and she don't stop, right? Once she gets going, she don't stop. She don't stop. And she just went. And she went off on constituents. Disrespectful. It was way disrespectful, unbecoming of a city official, for sure. Unbecoming of a woman, unbecoming of a human. But hey, that's what we see, right? That's what we see. And so Hector told her to just shut up and vote. That's all she had to do, really. There was no need for all of that. But she had to let people know because that was basically a F you. That's what they were doing. That's what she was doing. F you. I'm going to extend these term limits. We're going to keep rocking and rolling. And then y'all going to be at my office begging, begging, begging when I'm back in office because I'm so confident that I'm going to win my reelection, that I can do this. Doesn't matter. I know I'm going to win. That's the attitude she had as she's extending the term limits. Voting yes to do so, right? She doesn't care. And Hector Santiago, the guy that did Stop and Shake, he's the one that gets around. I was very surprised at this. I thought, honestly, I'm always like, maybe a conspiracy theorist, but I thought he was like, involved in some, some setup to make something, but I don't know. Then I thought possibly they got him confused with me, two Latinos. They really wanted to beat me up and arrest me. But I had left that meeting early because I had something in my gut. This is a true story. I drove someone home. So you can ask that person. I said, listen, let's go. Something ain't right about here. I'll watch it and I'd rather do my podcast. And so I left early. I drove someone home who left with me at the same time. And then as I'm, watching it, that's what I see. That's what I see. And no one shut it off. That's crazy. That's crazy. But, it's sad. It's very sad because I was talking about this really quick before I go on to the residents and developments. This is a crabs in a bucket mentality, and I'm going to continue to start really saying this. And I was talking to my wife about this. I said, honey, should I really start to talk about that? Really, like, kind of go, into more detail, more in depth into that. I don't want people to, get upset with me. People in my community to get upset with me. And say anything negative. But, the reality is that we ultimately, we are our biggest enemies. We hold each other back for whatever reason. And it's not all minorities. It's not all minorities. I'm talking about Blacks. And I want to just say Puerto Ricans, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm Puerto Rican. But, just say, some Hispanic groups, not all, because there are Hispanic groups that work together, that help each other build, right? And I see that within the Mexican community. I do. I see that, right? But we don't do that. I'm going to speak on the Puerto Rican Blacks because that's my experience. That was what I was around growing up. Blacks or Puerto Rican primarily. You didn't have the Mexican community that you have today. You didn't really have the Dominican population that you had today, although they started to come. They were like the second, but it was mostly Puerto Ricans. And we have always been our worst enemy. We hold each other back. We don't work together. We are neighbors, and then we can fight, each other over nonsense. We don't trust each other enough to work together. You got other groups that will pool their money together, right? And they'll build a business together and then, pass that to their kids and grow up. But we just have this distrust amongst each other, this competition amongst each other where we got to be better. And we can all be poor. We can all be in the hood, but we're going to try to stun on each other. Look at my sneakers. They're better than yours. I got the latest and greatest, but we both living in public housing at the end of the day, right? It didn't really matter. So, we just look, for example, I had some people couple of days ago. I don't even know these people. I don't even know these people. The only thing I know about them is that they are Hispanic, right? That's it. It's the only thing I know about them. They may know of me. They may have seen me before 20 years ago in the recording studio that I used to have. I don't remember. But these strangers, as far as I'm concerned, were saying that they were happy that my business failed, that I'm a failure. They're saying this to a Hispanic man that has tried to do things in the community, that has helped people in the community. Okay. Because I can go down a long list of things that I've done, and I won't, but I'm just saying, right? Saying you're a failure, your business failed. I'm happy to see that. This is what these strangers are saying to me who are Latinas, to another Latino. I've never done anything to them, but others have. You think they say that to them? You think they call them out? No, right? They're hoping that I fail. They don't support. People don't support each other. We start a business. We don't support each other. We don't help each other out at all. And I'm just tired of seeing this. So I just want to say that, I don't know who these people are on Instagram. They must know of me and my business closing, because of the issues I had with the landlord there. But it's sad that that's what they would say, and they don't even know me. You don't even know me. At the end of the day, you don't even know what I've done, what I've got, right? And I didn't insult back, because at the end of the day, when I'm secure with myself, I know who I am. Am I a failure? Absolutely not, right? I've come a long way, a long, long way. So I didn't feel the need to insult them back, right? And say, oh, you're a failure. I don't even know them, right? I didn't feel the need. I just messed around with them. I called her I said, well, I'm sorry if you were some rapper that came to my studio that I don't know, I didn't give extra attention to. Right? I don't even know this person. But, when you're secure with yourself and you know what you've done in life, you don't need to go at people. When people say these things to you, you don't need to respond. You don't. You're just like, okay, right? Whatever you say, right? And they say all kinds of things, right? But it's sad that this is members from my community saying that I'm a failure and they're happy that I failed. Why would you be happy if another Latino fails? Why? What's it to you? Right? And so it's sad. And I often see this between, within our communities. And it's that crabs in a bucket mentality. And we have to stop that. We need to change that, So anyway, moving on to developments, we need more affordable housing. Oh, and the reason why I was going to say that, I'm sorry, there was a point. I'm going back to Lakeisha and the 4 Black women. Yeah, we do, and I'll get to that. But I was just thinking about this. There's 4 minority women, right? You have Tasha Diaz, District 3 Majority Leader. You have Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, City Council President, the first Black female City Council President. You have Shanae Williams, District 1, where all the developments are mostly going up. Even the affordable housing one, need them on the east side. And then you have Corazon Pineda Isaac of District 2. She's Latina. She calls herself an Afro-Latina, right? They're minority women, darker than me. Darker than me. They held all the power in the city council. Those 4 women, if they have been a united front, they're all 4 are Democrats. They are all women. They are from the same community, minority women, but yet and still they could not get along. And this is, again, the problem, my people. This is our problem. Crabs in a bucket. Tasha Diaz referring to Corazon as a broke bee. This is what she's saying to her behind closed doors, looking at her, rolling her eyes in live public meetings. Right? And she's done the same to Shanae. And they just had all the power. And if they had been able to unite, they could have done more. If they were united and they cared about, their community truly, right? Their number one priority would have been to get an affordable housing ordinance passed, a new one, the legislation, because it impacts mostly minority people specifically on the west side, but there is a need also on the east side as well. And throughout Yonkers, the county and the state for that matter, there is an affordable housing crisis. However, they could have also blocked any term limit extension from happening. If they had done that, we probably would be seeing our first black mayor, possibly first female black mayor. Imagine if Lakeisha Collins Bellamy had not introduced the term limit extension. Imagine had she not. Let's say she did, and imagine, or let's say someone else did, and then the four of them stuck together and said, we're going to vote no. Who would have run then? We probably would have seen Corazon. We probably would have seen Reverend Margaret Coleman still in the race. And I think Reverend Margaret Coleman could have done a lot better. And I think if Spano were not in the race, she would have run a better campaign. Just being honest. I think she really, truly would have got out there, and I think she would have done amazing. But I understand where she's coming from. So I'm not knocking her. I don't think negatively of her at all. I get it. As I learn more, I get it, right? I get it. And I'm sure that deep down, she would have liked to see that happen. I'm sure she would like to have seen, Spano not in the race, so she could have truly ran the campaign she wanted to run. And I think she would have done very well. But because our four women of color who are on the council, the super majority, one, don't care about their constituents. That's just a fact. Two, can't get along. Therefore, we won't see a black mayor or a Hispanic mayor anytime soon. In a city that's almost going to be majority Hispanic, we have very little representation in our government here in the city of Yonkers. Tony Corazon. And she's not going to be there for very much longer. So, just something to think about. Basically, the four minority women, well, I can't say Corazon because she voted no against the term extension. The three minority women prevented the possibility of a minority mayor in this coming election. Did they not think about that? Lakeisha Collins Bellamy says the reason why she introduced the term limit extension was because she didn't see or it didn't feel that there was anyone out there that could do the job. So it was her responsibility and her responsibility to know to make that determination because she knew everybody that was out there. She didn't consider the fact that maybe there are people who are not running if Mike Spano runs again. And if he wasn't, maybe they would come out and you would see more people and someone that maybe you would consider being good enough, Lakeisha, since you are the determining, right? You are the one that determines that. So to the minorities here in the city of Yonkers, thank the minority women on the council why we will not have a Hispanic or black mayor here in the city of Yonkers anytime soon. That's right. We just will not. Right? We could have had Margaret Coleman. But unfortunately, the first female black city council president killed that by introducing the term limit. And this is not an attack against Spano or anti-Spano. Put that to the side. It's not even about that. It's just about, the mentality of the women and what they were thinking. They couldn't get together and say, ladies, do you understand how much power we have? For the first time, I was speaking to some white people, and I say that because I want you to know that they were white. And they were saying they couldn't believe that Spano is still running for mayor, that he's running for the fourth term. They said, people have said, and I want you to know they were white people, they have said, not, several have said, when they saw the fact that there were 4 minority women on the council, They thought it was over for Spano. They said, what's going on? It's done for Spano. You know, Spano's done. It's over for him. Why would he do that? But they were thinking that the 4 minority women on the city council would actually care about their people. They would actually care about Blacks and Hispanics and would be just as thrilled to see the first Hispanic or Black mayor as they were as thrilled as seeing the first Black female city council president. But that thought never entered their mind, right? They don't care about all that. They don't care about their constituents. They don't care about their own. They care about themselves. And that is why they do what they do, right? So just think about that, Black folks, Hispanic folks. I don't know when we'll have an opportunity, but we could have had an opportunity to see that happen this election. But the 4 minority women killed it. They stopped all possibility of the next mayor being a minority. Could you believe that? I can't believe that. That's so just something to think about. They had all the power. They had all the voting power. Local government threatens residents over critical comment on housing development. See? After residents submitted a public comment criticizing a vote to approve a new apartment tower, they received a message from a city employee threatening legal action against them. The nonstop approval of variances to exempt oversized buildings from current city ordinance leaves many residents frustrated. And I've talked about this many times, folks. If this is important to you, you should go back to my podcast on the zoning board, municipal housing, the planning board, Wilson Kimball. You have to go check those podcasts out. I broke it down. I broke this down already, right? The nonstop approval variant, some have banded together in an effort to sway local government through collective action, and that's a step in the right direction. Another method to express one's concerns individually is by leaving public comments on projects through the city's website. There are 2 volunteer boards at the forefront of approving new developments. The planning board, and the zoning board. This was two boards, 2 things that people were interested in at the town hall that Moranti held. And by the way, he's having another one, I believe, is him or someone's having a town hall at the Riverfront Library on the 17th. The ZBA, the zoning board, grants variances to city ordinance, and the planning board votes to approve the site plans, advancing new construction projects. Both boards meet monthly, and while they allow for online comment submissions, only the ZBA allows public speakers at meetings. One active resident submitted such a comment to the planning board. After months of speaking out against a particular proposal in South Yonkers, they exhaustedly left a final comment after the board granted the project's approval in June. So you see, there's a pattern. People go up, they complain, they raise concerns, they say they don't want it, but it still moves forward. And you can't ask questions. You can make a comment, but you can't ask a question at these meetings, at the zoning board meeting, right? I asked a question, and Wilson Kimball said, I'm not answering questions. We only take comments because they don't want you to ask questions. And I think that's stupid, right? So the comment was, we thank the board members for their question and concerns about this detrimental project. However, when it came to time to stand behind your concerns, you fell to political pressure. We emphasize the traffic concerns, and I would take this time to say that traffic and pedestrian death will occur. There you go. And we just talking about that. Pedestrian death, and that area, Woodworth, Warburg, and it is crazy. And they're going to put movie studios there. Like, I'm not even trying to be against you guys. I'm just trying to be rational. I'm just being logical, reasonable. Doesn't make sense. We emphasize the traffic concerns, and I would take this time to say that the traffic and pedestrian deaths will occur both during construction and throughout the lifespan of this project. Your approval of this project will make the members of this board bear responsibility for the loss of those lives. You may feel this a harsh criticism, and that is true. It, however, is justified. Only one member of the board actually stood up for the citizens of Yonkers. Was that Harry Singh? I like him. He stood up for me. When Wilson Kimball ignored my question. Wilson Kimball should not be the chair of the zoning board. She should not be the president of Municipal Housing Authority. You know how much money that woman is making? She is getting rich. Rich. Rich, I tell you. Rich. The volunteer mayor appointed boards are each represented by a City of Yonkers employee. The government worker tasked to do this board promptly responded to the resident submission while reserving the right to not publish the comment at all. This employee also issued a warning. Their lengthy response is below. Thank you for your note and continued participation in the planning board's review process of proposed redevelopment. While most of your comments have been presented rationally and reasonably, we will not stand by and accept your chosen words directed at the members of the planning board in the message below. Specifically, your threat of the board bearing any form of responsibility for hypothetical injuries to persons as a result of a site plan approval decision. But the fact remains is that people, including recently Chris O'Rourke, who was hit while walking on North Broadway, where there has been construction and road work, right? So it's happening already. The planning board concerns for neighborhood parking. The planning board is trained, specifically your threat of the planning. The statement is both not just harsh, but dangerously inappropriate. The planning board is the planning board is not a trained and experienced group of volunteers. Janai Wallace is on that. That's a lie. That's a lie. Residents of the city of Yonkers, sophisticated residents, intelligent residents, who are concerned about this, who care about this, who can articulate their concerns, just know that there's a woman named Janai Wallace. She is not trained, nor is she experienced. The woman does not know anything about city planning. That's crazy. If you watch yesterday's meeting, you would have heard every single board member reinforce their concerns for the reduction in parking that was previously granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals and their concerns for neighborhood street parking. The planning board was presented with a site plan application that comes with variances previously granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals, of course, acting as lead agency, of course, for the environmental review of the project. Why is the Zoning Board acting as the lead agency for the environmental review of the project? What knowledge, expertise, experience do they have? There's a 22-year-old kid on there. This guy replaced a 30-year veteran of the zoning board, a guy who was actually knowledgeable. But what environmental review? This is crazy. This is why we have, and I just said this, it doesn't make sense the way they're developing this place. I mean, come on, you guys could do better. It's time for new board members, right? As stated very clearly in the planning board site plan resolution, the zoning board of appeals was examined both the traffic impact study and supplemental parking analysis in connection with the proposed development. These documents were thoroughly reviewed by professional staff in the Department of Engineering during the zoning board's review process. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. They know Wilson Kimball get rid of them in a heartbeat. She's known for that. I mean, you can read the New York State Inspector General's report when she was investigated back in 2010, misappropriation of funds and other stuff. One of the complaints people had there was that she would get people fired. She had a problem with somebody, she would complain to her boo thing, James Kavanaugh, who was working with her at the Battery Park City Authority, and then he'd fire the people. You know what I'm saying? This man used to attack the Spanos, actually, this guy. He was a journalist. And so both of them ended up here. And what I don't like is that, they're not from here. They're of a different class. And they let you know that. And you think they care about the people in the West Side. They don't care if you get hit by a car. She knocked down a bunch of buildings on Mulford, 500 units, went back with only 100 and something. So she done basically kicked, whoever lived in those other 400 or so apartments out of Yonkers. She doesn't care. And I'm always going to have my issue with municipal housing because of that child pornography thing. They went around telling people that I was into child pornography. Ask Maria George. She'll tell you. She was telling everyone else. Ask her about it. Go ahead. Next time you see Maria George, Chief of Staff of City Council, say, let me ask you, did you go around saying that Freddie Vasquez was being investigated for child porn? See what she says. Tell her I said it. Sue me, Sue. These documents were thoroughly reviewed, blah, blah, blah. If the applicant pursues its development and commences site work, they will be held to every applicable standard and legal requirement for the basically, they don't care. The majority of this response is factual explanation of the organization and the process they follow for project approvals. If the ZBA grants the variances, there is little the planning board can do to reject the site plan. Okay, so who's head of the zoning board? There you go. However, the response will still shock its civically engaged recipient. Yeah, it shouldn't have. It shouldn't have. That if you're, happen to know this person, or you may happen to catch this podcast and you that person, watch my podcast, right? You'll be real shocked. Just make sure you're sitting down. Firstly, the residents was surprised to learn that their submitted comment could be withheld from publication. It's a lot withheld. This is an official government forum, not private business. And since residents are not allowed to speak at planning board meetings, these emailed comments are the only way to express one's opinion. Therefore, apart from any overt vulgarity, a literal threat, residents should have the right to not be censored. But beyond the free speech restriction was the ominous warning of punitive legal action. While the government employee references a threat to the planning board, no such threat was levied, claiming that an organization may bear responsibility for a potential accident is not a violent threat to that object of that criticism. Yeah, that's stupid. Therefore, what law was the resident breaking? And that's what they do. If you don't know better, you get scared, right? No one wants to get sued. Oh my God, the planning board is threatening to sue me. Let me shut the hell up. Screw them. Screw them. They don't care about you. They were the ones that were threatening legal action. You merely stated that if they keep approving these plans, these projects, that more people will die as a result of the traffic patterns and that are being changed, or the traffic congestion that's being created. 1,000%. The response was just to intimidate and threaten the original writer for more complaints. First Amendment to the Constitution protects that criticism. Exactly. That's the first attempt at trying to shut you down, right? Look, Zahi Jerris, he's suing me for $1 million. Then they went and tried to get an injunction to stop me from doing this podcast. So if what I was saying on here was not true, why would they go through such great lengths? I mean, it costs him to do that, I would think, right? To sue me for exercising my freedom of speech. And by the way, I just was reading Google articles. So why is he mad at me? And whatever else was told to me, look, it came from his closest people, right? His family told me things. It is what it is, man. And I got all of it. So he tried to sue me for $1 million. $1 million this guy sued me for. Thank God I'm just a house husband and I have no money. If I was anything else, forget it. So he's not going to get anything. So I don't care. Screw them. Screw the zoning board, because they're screwing the people of the city of Yonkers. It's not okay. Neighbors organized to protect community against zoning changes. People are starting to get tired of this. They're starting to organize. People are starting to be affected now. People that weren't being affected, right? When the Hispanics and blacks, I'm just kidding. But they were the first ones to feel the effects. Now everyone's feeling it on all sides, and people are coming together. But more people have to come out. More people have to come out. You can't just be disassociated from what's going on, and then all of a sudden, when they're building a building in front of your place, now you got an issue, because it's going to be an uphill battle on roller skates that way. But if you're there from jump, if we're organized to begin with, then we can prevent this. We can nip it in the bud. When we see who they are appointing to the zoning board, we should attend those meetings. I remember when they appointed Kimball to the chair position right after she got rid of those other two guys who would not vote yes on these projects. That's why they got rid of them. And so that's how it is. So these people on the planning board, they will be responsible because you could have voted no, but because you wanted to maintain your position within that board, you went with it anyway. Besides, you're not really experienced and have no knowledge, so you shouldn't be making any decisions on the planning or the zoning board. So to you folks who also have a problem with this, who are criticizing on these boards that they have on the websites and stuff, who are making the comments, find out who are the members of the boards. Find out who they are and what experience, background, knowledge do they have. Start with Janai Wallace on the planning board. Start with her. See where you get. See how far you get there. She got that job not through experience, knowledge, or expertise or anything having to do with planning, but because she always goes and speaks on behalf of Rubo. She defends Rubo. I mean, you would think that was her brother, the way she defends that guy. So that's a problem. Find out who are the members. Find out who they are. What's their background? What's their knowledge, their area expertise? Do they have knowledge? What's their experience? And then you'll see. That's the problem there. But guess who are the ones that vote them? Sure, the mayor can appoint them, but who votes them in? Well, our lovely city council. And you heard Anthony Moranti. He said at the town hall over at the Will Library that he's never rejected an appointee or someone that would be considered, I should say. So that includes Wilson Kimball. That includes the 20-something-year-old Anthony Jalaj, whose dad is a real estate investor. He replaced a guy that had experience, that was there for 30 years, that was on the side of the people. But nobody knew about this because nobody attends the meetings. Nobody knows what's going on. And I share them also on my page. So if you can't attend them, watch them online. They're there. I share them. It's important. Very important. There goes Steve Simpson. Steve Simpson, it's a funny guy. Steve Simpson was telling people nobody liked me. And you know, he told that to someone who liked me. So then that person told me because they like me. You know, there is one or two people, Steve. There's at least one or two. And I think my wife likes me. Right? That was funny, Steve. I'm not even mad, Steve. I just think it's funny. There's very little that could really offend me, really. It's just funny to me. It's funny. This is in regards to the really quick before I move on. I'm moving on, and before I get off here, the petitions that were turned into the city clerk's office, and we know what's up with that. I talked about it. There were over 5,000 turned in by Anthony Moranti. They have to be reviewed by the city clerk, Vincent Spano, but he has hired an independent review auditor to do so. It's going to cost the city $21,000, close to $22,000, right? And there's a process, and this entire process has to be done by August 7th. I mean, there's a 9-day cooling off period alone. So 9 days right there are going to get wasted in this cooling off period, or whatever they call it. In the stock market, you know, we call it cooling off period when you have an initial public offering, IPO. I know a lot for a failure. So I was reading the comments, and this is really what I wanted to talk about. Vinny will be the leader Yonkers will need to continue the progress. He will definitely run once his brother is done. I, for one, look forward to it. They are grooming him. His name is everywhere these past few months. Vinny should have ran for mayor this year. He has my vote. Vinny Spano, mayor. John Rubo, deputy mayor. Steve Trevert, chief of staff to who? Alexandria Bessesi, corporate counsel. There's that name again. Lenny Spano, DPW commissioner. G. Gannon, YFD commissioner. Lenny Spano, YPD commissioner. Wait a minute, I'm confused there. Hugh Fox. Hugh Fox was actually being criticized for not supporting Republicans. He's the head of the Conservative Party in Westchester. He was being criticized because he's supporting the Democrats. Well, I mean, the Democrats technically are the Republicans, including the 4 minority women. They're Republicans too. Well, they're the stereotypical Republicans, you know, the ones that, the stereotypes, right? They're racist. Republicans are racist. They don't like blacks. They gentrify everything, right? So they're the stereotypical Republicans, our 4 minority city council women. What a joke. Yonkers is America's most corrupt city. So who's next in line for the throne? My money is on Vinny. Seems to me like they did the right thing. Vinny Spano should run for mayor. He is the natural successor. He could appoint Anthony DiMaggio police commissioner. What do you think about that? I think that's a joke. Well, what do you think? Vinny Spano, mayor of the city of Yonkers, after Mike Spano's over with the 4 years, because I think he's going to take it. I think he's going to take it. I don't think Moranti really wants to win. I don't think you want to win Moranti, because I almost stood up on your town hall meetings and took over. I had the biggest urge to do so, right? And my wife knows I'm that type. But I didn't want to, do that, But I wanted to inform the people about the zoning board and how the IDA works, because he left out an important fact. The IDA gives out property tax incentives. He stated the sales and use taxes, which doesn't bother us because that's the tax that the contractors, developers save on the materials, cost of goods and stuff and services, right? He mentioned that because it didn't affect residents. He mentioned the mortgage recording tax because that doesn't affect us, right? But not the property tax incentives that they receive, which does affect us because that's the biggest chunk of their incentives. And that's millions and millions of dollars that the city of Yonkers does not receive, that it's supposed to receive, but they made a deal with the developer and therefore they don't have to pay it. Can we make deals with the city to reduce our tax liability each year with them? No, we cannot. What, we don't offer any value to the city? We are, after all, the residents. We vote. We voted you guys in, right? You have a job now. So we are more important than the developers. But that's not been the case. That hasn't been the case, as you can see. And what was the result of the conversation that Lakeisha Collins Bellamy had with AMS in regards to the 5 luxury development buildings that will be going up in Chicken Island? Imagine when that development begins. Imagine that. That's a main entrance into the downtown area. Imagine what it's going to look like when AMS begins building their 5 luxury buildings there in such a small area. So again, the planning board and zoning board either do not care or have no clue what the hell they're doing. Yonkers is not Manhattan. It is not the Bronx. It cannot hold the amount of people that are coming into the city or the amount of buildings that are being built. The infrastructure is too old. It can't support it. And there have been problems already on some of these developments, whether it be environmental issues, or issues with the locations of where they're actually being built in terms of the parking, right? Some of them are being able to bypass the requirement to build parking spaces or get away with, less than the required amount. And so, do they know what they're doing, these individuals? I mean, Wilson Kimball got into the development game. Well, she wasn't a developer before, but now she is. She's the developer now. Why not? It's like in business, right? You get the job, you learn it, and then you say, hey, why not? I'm going to start my own company. But this is not a private sector, right? And she's a developer now. Add that to her many hats. So do they know what they're doing? Are these buildings being built safely? Vinny Spano for mayor? Look, anything's possible, but we definitely know there will not be a Black or Hispanic mayor because the 4 Black women on the city council assured that that would not happen. At least the 3, but the 4 of them could have united and done some amazing things. They could have stopped a lot of this. They could have fought for those on the west side where all the developments are primarily going up. They could have slowed down or prevented these price hikes in the rent, the mass evictions. And yes, we're coming off a pandemic. People weren't paying their rents, but you guys fought for this initially. And then now you're fighting to help the landlords kick them out. That's sad. 220 Yonkers Ave, owned by the IDA, tax exempt. No, 220. All right, so 220 Ave is not owned by the IDA. It's I got the information on that. It has it's actually owned by a private investor. I think maybe the Mulford Corporation also is involved in that. The Mulford Corporation is technically an offshoot of municipal housing. I don't know why Municipal Housing Authority of Yonkers, the agency that's tasked with providing housing, affordable housing and low-income housing to residents that need it, would need to form an entirely new nonprofit organization or entity called the Mulford Corporation in order to do the same exact thing. And then Wilson is the president of that and the president of Macy. But they're not bringing more affordable housing units because what they're doing is knocking down the ones that are already there, renovating them, and going back with less units that they had before. And like, again, in the case of Mulford Gardens, almost 400 units less. You know, Mulford Gardens was 500 units. Today, it's called Grant Park, and it's just over 100 units. What happened to the other apartments? So they're reducing the number of affordable housing and low income systematically. While people think they are increasing, and that's BS. And you're telling me that our 4 Black women on the city council don't know this? And if they don't, then they're not doing their job. But I mean, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, the city council president, works at housing. Wilson Kimball's her boss. So many conflicts of interest there. So that's what they're doing. And why? Because they really don't want a certain demographic on that side. For the most part, they want you out. They know they can't just flood them all the way over to the east side because the people on the east side will go crazy. So what they did is they systematically got them out of Yonkers. They reshuffled the waiting list for those of you who were on the housing, the voucher waiting list. Remember they did that lotto? That was a scam. That lotto was simply so they could reshuffle the deck and then be more selective of who they chose to live in their apartments because they are now owning them. They're privately owned now and privately managed, a lot of them. Mulford Gardens, or Grant Park as it's called now, it's not managed by municipal housing anymore. It's owned by the Mulford Corporation. And it's managed by these for-profit entities that are owned by the people on the board, including Wilson Kimball, of the Mulford Corporation. So that's how they make their money. Sure, they don't receive a salary for being on the board, but they make their money through their management companies. And so that also reduces jobs for people in the city of Yonkers who were working for housing and who were fixing those apartments or cleaning the apartment complexes whenever they got, they needed it. There's less and less people working for housing nowadays, less maintenance guys.
So it's a reduction. But people don't see this, right? Because they show you a nice apartment that was renovated and everybody thinks it's great. And then they start scrambling and fighting for this one building. Look, they just opened one on 75 Locust. Submit your application. Got you scrambling. That's not how to treat people. So many disappointments. And for whatever reason, I'm getting a lot of Black residents approaching me about the difficulties finding housing. And they are blaming it on discrimination and racism. And they're saying that it's even some of the Hispanics that are discriminating against them. But also people in housing. So what's going on? It's, again, going back to what I was saying, crabs in a bucket mentality. It's sad that my people do this to each other. 220 Yonkers Avenue. I'll get you that information. I did speak about it. Has a weird mailing address. It says mail or stuff to this address somewhere in California, I believe. But what's happening is that they're selling off, if they haven't already, all the public housing that was once owned by the city, municipal housing. They got rid of them. A lot of them are now in private hands. They got private management companies. And so all Macy is doing now, and the Mulford Corporation, is just distributing the money, the vouchers. Some you could go anywhere else, and that's the ones they want out of Yonkers. Here you go. Take that to White Plains. Take it to New Rochelle. Get up out of here. Then there are some that can only be used at a specific apartments. And they are giving those to certain people who they feel are the higher quality of the residents of those who are requiring Section 8, and putting them into their buildings, because they don't want the worst of the worst, right, in their buildings. They're shipping those individuals out. They're saving the ones that have a good rental history, no problems, for their buildings. And eventually one day, those buildings will go market rate, which is why they are putting dishwashers and microwaves in them now. And those would be the lower end apartments for all the studio people who are working here. You know, the people who work for the studios at the bottom of the totem pole, while the movie execs and all that will have the big houses, you know, that they're buying up now. So that's what's happening. Yonkers is turning into Hollywood on the Hudson, and you have to figure out, do you have a place for yourself and your family here in this Hollywood on the Hudson, or is it time to move out and find a new home? Or we can all come out together and remove the people who are on the planning board and the zoning board, because that's where it starts. We have to get rid of them. So to those people who are against these developments, you must understand the real issue. Get to the root of the problem, right? Breaking off a branch, it's not going to stop it. You have to get to the root of the problem. Chop that tree down, dig out the root, and bury it somewhere. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you, folks, for joining me. I appreciate you. Share the podcast. I need to get and I know a lot more people watch. I got, the followers that are on there, it's not like, Yonkers Voice, but I get a lot of views. Like most of my podcasts get views as much views as those on the Yonkers Voice or other pages, even though they will have, I don't know how many more followers, because people don't follow, but they will watch. Basement Politics, especially in the beginning, it was dangerous to watch it. It was dangerous to see your name on there, to like it. And people were creating, and they still have created, fake pages just to watch, or you can go on YouTube and watch because they want to remain anonymous. But a lot of people are watching because I get people that recognize me all the time. In fact, again, today, somebody said, keep up the good work. So shout out to you. I forgot where I was at today. Somebody said my name. Two people, actually. Come and said Freddie Bass. Oh, the other day, was it Friday night? Was it Friday night, maybe? I saw Joe Nolan, the Nolan brothers. Shout out to you. I was confused by your comment, Joe, because I wasn't sure if you were being honest about that. I didn't see how you could be honest about that, because, I mean, but, I try to be nice about it, right? I was kind of nice. You know what I mean? I was somewhat respectful. I didn't want to try to make it hot, but, listen, I don't know if you mean that, but, but I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I definitely appreciate it. I did see, I'll be honest with you. I knew who you were. I just don't like to tell people. I actually saw your brother first, and then I saw you. But yes, I knew who you guys were. I always know who people are. I gotta always be aware of my surroundings. I was with my kid at Ralph's getting ice cream. And then as I left, one of Yonkers' finest decided to follow me all the way to the like. Well, that was my kids. Made the U-turn. They went into the turn lane, and then I guess they got what they wanted. When the light turned green, I turned and I left where I was going. They turned around and went back into the parking lot of where the Ralph's ice cream is on Central Avenue. I mean, but I thought you guys were gonna pull me over. I was like, yo, the way, when the cops are gonna pull you over, they kind of like go and then they speed up real quickly upon you, right? And they're like almost like they're gonna fucking hit you or something, They kind of did that. As soon as I was like, yo, what is wrong with these dudes, man? Don't Rodney King me, please. I'll sue. Rodney King me. But yeah, so anyway, shout out to you guys. Shout out to the Nolan brothers. I've heard a lot of stuff about you guys. I haven't said everything, that I heard it. Listen, you know what I mean? It is what it is, right? It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But shout out to you guys. So yeah, I see people throughout, the city of Yonkers that call my name, that recognize me. And it's always, I've never had anyone say anything negative to me. I've never had anyone curse me out. I don't know why they would, right? I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to give you all the information. But shout out to you folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Share the page. Don't be afraid to watch. That's the first step. You got to be out. You got to be vocal. We got to unite. You got to stand for something, or you will fall for anything. Have a good night. Have a beautiful weekend. I'll see you tomorrow, possibly. See what happens. Oh, but Vinny Spano, what do you guys think? Vinny Spano's not a bad guy. Like, people are like, this guy right here, they get into him. They got you. They got you, bro. No. They did it. No, they did it. They didn't get me. Look, Vinny Spano's a nice guy. At least to me, he's been a nice guy to my face, right? He's been a nice guy to my face. Behind my back, I don't know what people do behind my back, but I've gotten a lot of information on a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people. I mean, and I know people to go to when this here. I sent a picture. You know what I mean? And and so it's funny. Vinny once said you should have been a detective. Because I get a lot of information. I know where to go. Search. I know I have programmed and stuff, but a lot of people have said negative things about Vinny Spano. I'm not gonna, not validate their experiences. That's their experience and stuff like that. But the guy has always been a good guy to me. Maybe it's a front, it's a fake that some people say. I don't know. But I can't be like, upset with this guy. So if he ran for mayor, I'm not gonna hate. I don't hate Mike Spano either. You know what I'm saying? I don't hate any Spano. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate anybody at all. I just call it like I see it. It's not, this is what it is. Like that's red. It's red. You know what I mean? Why are they telling us it's blue, right? I'm just that type of guy. That's it. It's not about anything negative, and I find a lot of this amusing actually, especially when people get mad. I really know how to push their buttons. I see that. And they've attacked me. All kinds of people have attacked me. Everyone says it's Vinny Spano, and certain individuals where I wanted to just blame the administration when I think they should have, took some ownership. But I don't know. The guy's always been a good guy with me. You know what I'm saying? He's always been friendly, and it was kind of messed up that where we, had our issue, you know what I'm saying? I was mad. Like I couldn't fight the guy, right? I couldn't fight the guy. So I did the next best thing, you know what I mean? To try to stick the guy as best as I could, stick it to him. But, that's just, it's not the way, you know what I mean? That's not the way. And, recently not recently, but it's been, an individual had brought us together. They had reached out to that individual who then reached out to me and we sat down. And, a lot of it was mostly to do with family stuff, like a lot of negative, nasty stuff that was being said about mostly on their part, though. Mostly on their part. You know what I'm saying? Not on me. I mean, I never was disrespectful to wives in the way they were disrespectful to my wife. You know, so that's a fact. You know what I mean? I wasn't. But I thought it'd be a good idea because it was upsetting to me. You know, it was. You know, I don't get offended really easily, but you know, it comes to my wife, you know, my kids. You know, I definitely, you know, I definitely will go a little crazy. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to do that and stuff like that. And then I think over the course of that, you know, I've been able to communicate a little bit more with Vincent Spano and the administration. You know, and I'm really like trying to find like a silver lining. You know what I mean? And not saying that for me, I'm talking about for our community, for us. You know what I'm saying? For the people, because you know, you know, there's got to be a way we could, you know what I mean? And I'm telling these guys, I'm like, look, man, you know, maybe you guys wouldn't be so hated if you check certain people, because some of the information I get is not even about the Spanos, but it's about other people that may be that, you know, friends with the Spanos that maybe have gotten hooked up or whatever, or family and friend network type of connection. And then they're assholes at the job, you know, and then they think they're better than everybody and they treat other people like shit, right? And they feel like they're untouchable. And I was saying, you know, that's maybe something that, look, if you know, I understand nepotism or you want to hook a friend up, but I would always tell my friend, yo, you're gonna start at the bottom, you know, and you better work just as hard, you know, because if you don't, if you do anything less than that, you know, you're disrespectful to supervisors or other employees, you know, you're gonna make me look bad. And I think that's got to be checked, because there's some individuals out there that just, you know, take this thing, I'm connected, I'm with the crew, to head, you know, to their head, and they act stupid and they do stupid things. So, you know, I think a lot of this stuff was, you know, people trying to impress, you know, Vinny got a problem with Freddie. Yo, watch this, watch me do this and watch me do that, you know. And certain other people that I spoke about that had issues with me, you know, that were, you know, people take it personal. They go on their own. I mean, it wasn't only the Spanos that I mentioned, or, you know, really it was other people I told more about. So, you know, what I would like to see is a way where we could just, you know, I don't know, just not be this way, you know, as a community, not be, you know, with this stuff that we've seen, right? Political attacks, you know, people losing their jobs for retaliatory reasons, you know, and seeing more people helped, you know. And one of the first things, believe it or not, you know, after we started, we sat down, we talked, we communicated a little bit after that. One of the things I asked of him was, hey, there's a woman that, you know, has these cars. They've been abandoned and they're on an easement that's supposed to be cleared. You know what I mean? And she's been reaching out to the council person, and that person's just basically ignoring them. You know, and it's a simple solution, a simple look. Easement, they're not supposed to be there. Here you go. It shows that it's an easement. It's supposed to be cleared, preventing the garbage from being picked up. It's, you know, the quality of life. There's abandoned cars. They have flat tires. I mean, it just makes sense to get them told, right? And they were told. That didn't benefit me, right? That didn't benefit me. That helped a constituent, a resident now who was having, you know, this issue, right? And then there was something else with someone else, but a constituent, a resident, you know. So not looking for anything for me necessarily or anything. I'm just, you know, I would like to see our community help. You know, I would like to see, you know, more people paid attention to. If you got an issue, you got to, you know, being able to go to people who are willing to help and actually going to help, right? That's what bothers me. That's why I think I went so hard, because you guys don't help. You guys ignore people. And I don't like that. I don't like for people to be, you know, having an issue. You guys don't help. You're supposed to help. It's your job, or at least, you know, reach back out to them, and you just ignore them. You think you're better than them. You know, you think, you know, and that's how some of the officials are. So, you know, that's why I started this, and I'm gonna be on their ass to get things done. But if we could do it in a way where I don't have to be on a podcast, you know, blowing y'all up like that, you know, that'll be much better. You know what I'm saying? I think we all could, you know, would be happier that way, right? If we can make a phone call, hey, this is what's going on. You think you could do something about it? Cool. Done. Another happy resident. You know what I mean? That's all. You know, that's what I would like to have a relationship with any administration. I said that with any administration, whether it's the Spanos or whoever. But you know, it looks like Spano, they got it, right? They got it. They, you know, like I said, if no one's gonna come out, no one's gonna run a real campaign, then this is what it's gonna be. And so I would imagine that if Vinny truly wanted to run for mayor of the city of Yonkers, in 4 years, that he would win too. He will win again. And honestly, from my experiences, I wouldn't care. I really wouldn't have a problem with that, because if we could have this type of relationship right here where I can say, hey, yo, and I'm gonna still do my thing. I'm not an ass kisser, yo. I don't do that. And I'll tell that. I don't kiss ass, yo. Not gonna hold up a sign, behind nowhere. Don't ask me to knock on the door, nothing like that. It's not what I do. You know what I mean? I do basement politics. That's what I do. And so, but if we could work together where we could work and help the community, maybe I could be like some kind of liaison, people would call me up, they got an issue, and I can call and I can say, hey, yo, you think this could happen? Or, you think you help this person out? That's great. That's great to me. You know what I'm saying? That, because again, nobody's coming out to vote. Nobody's coming out to vote, and nobody's running a real campaign, right? Nobody's running a campaign like they want to be Spano. So we got to work with the Spanos. And again, I think that Vinny being in office, it might not, at least if we could keep this relationship, wouldn't be a bad thing, because, I've seen the guy want to help people. You know what I'm saying? I've seen him help people. I don't know. A lot of people like him, even people that have been fired for retaliatory reasons. I was talking to one individual, actually two individuals. I know Anthony doesn't. I know Anthony, the management, doesn't. But I was talking to two other individuals that said they like the guy. They like him a lot, and they don't think that he had anything to do with their retaliatory firing, but they were fired for, retaliatory reasons, and it's very obvious. They got, one of them has a really good case, it's all documented, well documented, in fact, and he's doing his thing. But, but they all say that Vinny was a good guy. So I don't know, so just in case you guys may see me out there with them, I don't, people say, oh, you're a sellout. Not a sellout. I want to help the community. It's not about me. It's not about any single one of you. It's about all of us. It's about the collective, and that's what's most important, right? And so if Vinny Spano or whoever is willing to help, willing to work with me, right, to do good things in the community, then power to the people, because that's all I wanted to do from the get-go. Just help our community do some amazing things. And that's exactly what I'll be doing come this school year. I can't wait. A lot of good things I'm excited about. I don't want to say it's all definite, but we're not, I don't die, I multiply. So you guys hate on me or you want, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm a survivor. I don't came from a lot worse, trust me. So we'll be back. We'll be back, and even bigger and better. Wait on it.
Freddie wins. Freddie wins. Fatality.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
In another one, Mr. Rumo lied to me. And I don't vote for the person that lied to me. Thank you very much.
I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want some butter chicken. I want to end this quick because I'm greedy and I want some butter chicken. So thank you.
Look, I am the bad guy.
I know you have a lot of women. I know you have a lot of women. I know you have a lot of women that work in your office. And I was also told that you favor some over others. I'm hoping that this is not true, Sammy, but I'm a councilwoman, so the capacity that I know you in, they may know you in a different capacity. I'm hoping that this is not true, Sammy. I'm hoping that this is not true, Sammy. I know you have a lot of women that work in your office. And I was also told that you favor some over others. I'm hoping that this is not true, Sammy.
Let me tell you, there's a lot of people that spoke today that was against me, and I still help you to this day. There are churches that are sitting in here that come to me, and I provide for your parishioners, okay? And they come to me,
You don't do nothing, actually,
they come to me, well, now you say it's my job, but when I'm out there on the front line, you say it's not. And I have given to you as well. And I have given to you as well. When I became majority leader, I became majority leader to change the narrative. The narrative of being, let me tell you.
Wins. Fatality.